Okay, well, we hope everybody's enjoying themselves today. We are at our last session. It's flying by. So please welcome back Jennifer Burchfiel as she shares with us the importance and examples for developing routines in early learning math and literacy classrooms. Jennifer?
Hey everyone, so glad to be back again. This afternoon has really flown by, and I was so glad to just sit back and be a learner for a little bit. Love it when worlds come back together, and Tasha and I worked side by side together as she was the math coordinator and I was the language arts coordinator for a former district. And now that we get to come back together, it's so great, so great. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and we are going to finish up our time together by talking about routines. And talking about routines, especially in the early learning, reading, literacy, and math classrooms. So give me a second. It's not wanting to show. Give me a second. Sorry. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry. Okay. I don't know why it's not wanting to show. I'm sorry, guys. Let me try this again. Tasha and I were just talking about it on text about technology issues. I hope that wasn't an indicator of what is going to happen with me. Okay, well, let's hold it for right now, and we'll see.
Hey, we're teachers. We know how to be flexible, right, Jennifer?
That is exactly right.
Go with the flow.
That is exactly right. Okay, I'm going to try one more thing and see if I can get it on. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's just go for this for right now. How about that? Okay, so we're going to talk about developing routines in the early math and literacy classrooms. And we know how important routines are, but especially for our very youngest learners. And we're going to talk about that too. So I want you to think about some routines that you have, that you do every single day, no matter what, because we are all tend to be creatures of habit. Unfortunately, sometimes, as my family knows about me. So what's something, just real quick, put in the chat box. What is a routine that you do no matter what every single day? As little as can be, what is that routine that you do every single day? Just a quick little addition to the chat box. Drink coffee. Aaron, brush your teeth. That's a good routine to have. Thank you. Take your dogs for a walk. Probably nothing gets in the way with that. Playing with your dogs, which is great. Moppy, I didn't know you were on. So of course, playing with your dogs. Reading every day. Of course, watching Netflix. Maybe that's it. Stretching, Leanne. Maybe you could give me some pointers. I need to be able to be doing that. So thinking about routines, if it's me, I am off to get, I don't drink coffee, but I'm off to get an unsweet tea every single day. That has not changed in my retired life. I still go. I love it that they just bring it out to my car. They know exactly what I'm needing. So coming up with routines, sometimes that gets us off track a little bit too. And it even magnifies with our youngest learners as well. And so we want to be able to have those routines, especially in the early math and literacy classrooms. So we're going to start off with a quick little, oh, now my clicker's not going to work. You know, it's the end of the day, I guess. But we're going to start off with a quick video clip. And if you've ever watched Bugs Life, it's been around for a long time, but this is the one that gets me every single time. And sometimes I see myself in this, but I definitely see teachers like this, and especially students. So let's watch this real quick one.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week.
Sorry.
So now I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly to edit.
Here we go.
Oh no! I'm lost! Where's the line? It just went away! What do I do? Help! We'll be stuck here forever!
Do not panic! Do not panic! We are trained professionals! Now stay calm. We are going around the leaf.
Around the leaf? I don't think we can do that.
Oh, nonsense. This is nothing compared to the twig of 93. That's it. That's it. Good. You're doing great. There you go. There you go. Watch my eyes. Don't look away. And here's the line again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soil.
Good job, everybody.
Okay, so think that through for a minute. Are you like that ant? Might be like that ant who you get thrown off when you've had something come in your way that's not supposed to happen, like that leaf. Is there something that happens with you? And then what about our children when a routine has been thrown off? For example, a teacher's out and the kids don't even know what's going to happen, and maybe the sub hasn't shown up or something, and the kids get out of routine. Sometimes this happens, and if you're like me, sometimes this happens with me and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And then I just need somebody to talk me through it. And that's the same way with kids too. So this just came out like 2 weeks ago out of the Dallas Morning News. I am still one that gets a newspaper, not paper copy, but I'm online now. And this came out 2 weeks ago on the 20th of February. And it was this quote from Anna Johnson, who she's a developmental psychologist and associate professor at Georgetown University, on this year's class of kindergartners, many of whom never attended preschool or daycare because of the pandemic. Now, that could be a first grader as well, could be any grade, especially for those that haven't been in school for a little while or at all. She says some kids have really never sat down in a chair next to another little body and been told to do something with a writing tool in their hand. Others have been doing that all along. And some kids aren't used to the noise, have never been in a routine or shared an object. Have never been in a routine. And I know our teachers are feeling that right now, especially our young teachers of younger grades. And they're thinking, okay, these are students that just think of being in the pandemic that we've had for we're coming up on 2 years now. And if you are teaching pre-K 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds, those students have never had that, and they've never had a routine. And those of us that have supported teachers for as long as we have know that we cannot stress enough to teachers that the routines are the most important. Take time, get those routines down. The learning will come. You're actually learning while you're doing the routine, but keep those routines going so that students will feel very comfortable. So let's take a look at some of the benefits that routines play on early learners. They feel really in control of their environment. They know what's going to happen. They feel safe, secure. They feel comfortable. That's what we want out of our youngest learners. They know what's happening now, and they know what's going to come next. We also want to make sure that students are adapting to change. So we don't want to say, oh my gosh, we're out of routine. What will we do? Kind of like the ant. But we also want them to know that here's what's happening, and this is more than likely going to something that's going to happen next. We want them to be able to have that how to do an activity or a task. That is a benefit of having that routine, and also be very engaged in learning. And I think these three here on these 5 benefits really come down to how can we make the best learning, having our students be the most engaged in their learning and knowing what's happening with the routine, what's coming next, how to do an activity or how to do a task. So an article that is something that I just keep coming back to this article. I found it in Educational Leadership several years ago. Actually, it's 10 years ago, but I keep coming back to it over and over and over again. And Richard Allington wrote this article in Educational Leadership. And you know, if Richard Allington is ever going to share something, everything is based on data, everything. And when I read his stuff, I think, okay, yes, this is truth. This is truth. So I'm going to put this in the chat box in just a second, and you'll have a copy of this for you to peruse. And I ask you, read this, think about it, and share it with teachers. It'd be a great article to use in a PLC, great article to do with a grade level team or even a leadership team at a campus. Thinking about how can these routines that Richard Allington says to use, how can that be incorporated into our everyday happening at our own school? So he says there should be 6 things that happen every day with every child. And that first thing, and some of them, most of the time he's talking about reading, but I'm going to show you how it can be reading and writing and math as well. So he says every child reads something he or she chooses. And I'm just going to kind of give you the highlights of this section since we don't have time to read it together. He says that there are 2 very important, the most powerful instructional design factors for empowering reading motivation and comprehension. And he says those 2. So if we want to have reading motivation, I want more kids reading more books, and comprehension, I need to have a lot of access for students to have lots of access to books. That's a no-brainer. And also personal choice of what is read. That's probably not surprising to you, but in his data and in his research, that this is going to help motivate a child to read and to comprehend. So the next thing he says is that every child reads accurately. Now I could do a whole training on just this part right here. And he says that children should be reading at a 98% accuracy rate. And that it is essential. Now, not all the time. If they're in a small group with me, that can come down a little bit because I'm going to be supporting them with their reading. But he says reading at a 98% higher accuracy is essential for reading acceleration. Anything less is going to slow the rate of improvement, and anything below 90% accuracy, those of us that have been teaching reading for a long time know it doesn't improve reading at all. It's going to really cause major problems to read anything below a 90% accuracy. My words are going to come. Then he says every child reads something he or she understands. What happens sometimes is those struggling readers are meant to do more tasks, more activity type instead of reading. But he said if 2/3 of the time is spent reading and rereading, then isolated skills practice, that is going to benefit those struggling readers. Any reader, I would say too. Then he says every child writes about something personally meaningful. That is something that's always been ingrained in me to help teachers understand that a prompt is not what every child wants to write to. I don't want to write to a prompt. I want to write about something that's personally meaningful to me. And that when I do, Richard Allington says that when students do that, they are more than likely going to use better conventions of spelling, better grammar, because it matters to them. And then this one, every child talks with peers about reading and writing, but I'm going to just open that up to be about anything, any subject area. Every child talks with peers. We know how important that is to language development, but a small amounts of conversations, he says, 10 minutes a day improves standardized test scores regardless of family background and reading level. That's huge. 10 minutes a day of talking with peers about what they read, what they thought, what they wrote about, maybe a math problem they solved. We have to have peers talking to peers. That's why turn-in talks are so very important in every subject you have. So that one's a key one with me. And then the last one, and this can be done in any subject, you could be doing this in science and doing this in math, is that every child listens to a fluent adult read aloud. And that is, you are the best reader in that class as a teacher, and you need to show students how you are going to be a fluent and coherent reader. That is a high impact but low input strategy, means that very small thing to do, but it yields so much. And I think these three, this writing about something personally meaningful, whether that is in writing or during reading time or during STEM, science, and math time, then every child talks with peers about reading and writing, and every child listens to a fluent adult read aloud. This one right here, this is a teacher move, just like I talked to you earlier. Sorry, that's what happens when you have dogs at the house. But this one is a teacher move. What I would do is I would just put it on a Post-it, turn-in talk, and maybe put that right at my lesson plan book. Where am I going to add that in? Put that by the book that I'm reading, and how am I going to help students turn-in talk as many times as I can a day for 10 minutes at a time. That takes some art too, because sometimes you see maybe a newer teacher, a struggling teacher, that they start and then it kind of goes away from them, and you got to turn them back really quick, talk about what they talked about, and then move that on. 10 minutes a day, that is going to help. He says, regardless of family background and their reading level, that's going to be improved standardized test scores. Now came a little too quick. So what I want to do is I want us to think about, what are some routines we have right now? What are some routines that you do on a daily basis, or you have your teachers do, or you see in classrooms? What are routines you see in reading every day, literacy time, your reading and writing time? And what are routines that you see during math every day? So just jot one or two of those down in the chat box. Those routines, like you're going to always get your Starbucks every morning, then in your reading, you're always going to do this. In me, it was, I'm always going to have a read aloud no matter what the day is like. We are always going to have that routine. What's some routines that you have seen or have done in the classroom? Reading aloud, oral counting daily, talking about the parts of a book, attendance, rec and rec. I love that, adding that in. Think alouds, that's going to be a routine that you do. Choral counting, I love these because it's got some reading and it's got some math in there. Vocabulary talk and picture walk before a read aloud, even during a guided reading group as well. What other interactive read alouds, what other routines are you going to do on a daily basis with kids? Number talks, problem of the day, absolutely. Problem solving, counting the days of school, fantastic. Small groups, that's a routine, absolutely. So let's talk about some of those routines. So here's some literacy routines that I see, that I suggest. It's not coming up now. It's not going to want to come out. Here we go. So reading aloud, small group instruction, literacy stations, shared reading, modeled writing, word work. These are things that are always happening on a daily basis. We're not just doing small group instruction a couple of days a week. We're doing it 5 days a week. I need to meet with my kids on their level in a small group every single day so that they can get better. And then some math routines that they might have: problem solving, daily problem solving, small group instruction, math stations, number routines, number talk, mini lessons. And as you see, so many of these are the same. We want students to know that every single day in the math classroom, we're going to do problem solving. That's going to be one of the routines that we have. We're going to do some flexibility with numbers, and that's going to be something that we do on a daily basis in the math classroom. So I'm going to talk about 3 of these today in our time together. I'm going to talk about word work. I'm going to talk about problem solving in math, and I'm also going to be talking about number routines as well. And we're going to talk through that, and I'm going to share with you some products from Hand to Mind that are going to be able to build that routine into our early learning classrooms. So one of them is a brand new product that is coming out, and it is fantastic. Fantastic. It takes a lot for me to say a product's fantastic. This is one. It is Phonemic Awareness and Phonics Toolkit. Now, in the state that I live in Texas, we are having teachers go through what we call the state of Texas has said that all teachers in kindergarten, first, second, and third will go through a reading academy, which is a year-long process academy where teachers are learning the fundamentals of the science of teaching reading. And what we are finding and learning is that sometimes that doesn't always happen when a teacher, a pre-service teacher, is in college where they're learning really the ins and outs of the science of teaching reading, or even an alternatively certified teacher. So it's important that all of our teachers are going through this reading academy. And so what I like about this routine is it takes all of those best practices and it puts them into this fantastic toolkit to be used. And what I want to also think about, it says kindergarten and first and second, but I don't want us to forget, remember I told you earlier this afternoon that 4th grade teacher of mine that is teaching 4th grade but has kindergarten readers. This is the kind of thing she needs. And although I, of course, think she's a fabulous teacher, she doesn't have the background. As she says, Mom, you know, you're the one that knows that 1st grade stuff, not me. She doesn't have that background that she needs to be able to teach kids how to go through phonemic awareness and moving in and bridging into phonics. She doesn't have that background. And so this is the kind of thing for that 4th grade teacher, for interventionists, that will really help them out. So let's do a little walkthrough. It's multisensory, it's systematic, and it's explicit instruction, and it's the gradual release of responsibility model. There's a routine right there that in this time, we are going to do that I do, that we do, and that you do. And that is an absolute routine for early learners to have. So this is a great 2-page spread. Love that about a 2-page spread. It's just that page, don't have to switch to anything else. And what I also like about it, it tells the teacher everything that they need, tells the teacher everything that they're going to need right there by adding those materials in on the left side, and then the objective as well. So I want to show you this and kind of just walk you through it. So you can see that there are 4, I would say, mini kind of small lessons: a phonemic awareness, a phonics, another phonics, and then a fluency lesson. Now, what I like about this is that I'm going to get to be able to kind of pick and choose what's best for my kids in this, because I'm going to have some kids that need this phonemic awareness right here, but they're not even ready to go into fluency. Those kindergartners that are sitting in a 4th grade classroom, or I have some kids that they've kind of moved themselves and they're really doing a good job moving out of thinking about everything with phonemic awareness and really listening. And now I'm going in to that phonics with them as their skills improve. So let me kind of just highlight some parts here to this. I've already told you about the phonics, phonemic awareness, the phonics, and the fluency. There are all your materials laid right there. If you wish I was still in the classroom, that I could have those fantastic magnetic wands. I was actually playing with those this week. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I am totally just playing with those. I love those. And that phonemic awareness, remember I said, here's your skill, you're encoding open syllables, here are the words you're going to use, here's the I do, here's the we do, and here's the you do. And this is a guide to help you teach that small group that needs that phonemic awareness. Each one of these little small lessons has a differentiate where they are having an approaching and then an exceeding for those students that are moving beyond that. And same with phonics, same thing, the skill, encoding open syllables. Here are the words I'm going to use. Here's the I do, we do, you do. And again, encoding open syllables, just changing it a little bit because now I'm going to be using these reading rods that Hand to Mind offers that are fantastic to use. And then again, this fluency. I want you to think about that. It's not that I would be doing each of these small little lessons with each student. It just depends on where they are in their level and in their thinking. And it's all meant to be done right in the small group instruction time. So yes, there is a time for whole group word work. And when I am teaching that skill, that standard that needs to be taught in first grade, everybody together, I need to teach that. That would be that whole group time. But then when I'm moving into that small group time, that's when I am going to be focusing in on what the students can do. If they're reading on a kindergarten level or a first grade level, then I need to match that word work to that level of instruction. So it comes with 60 standards aligned lessons. You all, 60 lessons. That's a ton. Takes so much out of a teacher and so easy to follow. They're multi-sensory activities. It does have 3 assessments. And don't forget, we talked about earlier, you could even move those into some student-centered assessments, a progress monitoring tool, and manipulatives, and a teacher guide. So all of those great hands-on manipulatives that are going to help with those as I'm teaching these phonemic awareness and phonics lessons. Now I want to move into doing some math. So I want you to think about daily problem solving. So when I was a math teacher in first and second grade, I was doing problem solving every single day. I think my teacher self thought I was doing a fantastic job. And now that I am so much smarter, like I was so not doing a great job at it. I was doing it every day, just not the best way. So this daily problem solving, and it is just a small little kit. I got mine right here. And for each grade level, fantastic. It comes in upper grades as well, but it also comes on line 2, because you would want to have that because of these great videos that go with it. So it's 180 teacher problem solving cards with support. And I'm going to walk you through this and how it's laid out. 36 video problems, 144 digital formatted problems, and 36 problem solving student activity pages. And we're going to walk you through all of that too. So each day of the week, 5 days of the week, each day we are doing a different problem, but all about the same. So if I'm comparing numbers, then every problem during the week would be about comparing numbers, just a different type of problem. So the first problem on day 1 is going to be a video problem. What I like about this is that it reduces that literacy demand. Let's say for that student that is really struggling with reading, but doing okay in math. Oh, it happens all the time, right? And so this really kind of helps them move into this problem solving without really worrying about reading. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. Then on day 2, we are working on, I've already lost my clicker. On day 2, we're working on a multi-solution problem. And what's great about this is letting kids see that, yes, I can come up with several different ways to solve the problem. It doesn't have to always be Jennifer's or Miss Burchfield's way of solving the problem. It can be several different ways to solve that problem. And then that Wednesday is the numberless problem. This takes the numbers away, but gets that student to understand what is this problem wanting from us, cuts them out of kind of that procedural rut of always, oh, looking at the numbers, because you've probably seen teachers code different problems and circle and underline and box and highlight. And what happens is that the whole entire problem gets circled and highlighted and boxed and all of that. And so if I take those numbers out and really get those students just to thinking, what is it that I'm trying to solve? What's the problem I'm trying to solve? But also promotes those really rich discussions. And then day 4 is that single solution problem. And this is what most of our standardized tests are, is that we've got a problem and here is the answer with that. And it really focuses those kids on the unknowns and the knowns. And then I got to tell you this, although the video problem is one of my favorites, but this one is really something I love, and that's create a problem. Because many times we do daily problem solving, but here was Miss Burchfiel not doing such a great job. I wasn't having kids create their own problem. And this is this last day where I'm giving them a picture and then they're doing some creative thinking about this, maybe comparing, contrasting, or whatever 2-digit plus 2-digit addition, whatever skill you're working on. And now I'm creating a problem because I've been through 4 days of problem solving around that particular skill. So I'm going to start you off with day 1. So like I said, this daily problem solving comes with these quick videos, takes off that literacy demand for students, and gets them really thinking about the math. Also on the card, I'm going to kind of go back and forth and I'll show you a couple of things in just a minute. But as I'm going on this, then I can also pause and I can ask students some questions. So usually they're just about 20 or 30 seconds or so. Right there, that's the time right there that I'm going to pause, and right there on my daily problem solving is that I'm able to ask some questions right there to the kids that are already on that problem solving card. Quick, right? And really gets kids really thinking about the math as we're going on. Now I want to just dive in a little deeper to what this card looks like. And remember, I said it's all online too. So even, and I'll show you the questions on day 2 and on 3, 4, and 5, that is already online as well, that they can just, you can, as a teacher, can pull that up on your whiteboard or whatever kind of technology you have in the classroom. So I've got the problem right there, the video right there, the QR code to get me there, the materials. I can use a Rec and Rec with this one, or if you have other materials too. And then at that pause, remember where I paused it below, it asks the questions. What did you notice? Okay, I noticed there was a bowl full of apples and oranges. What do you wonder? Well, I wonder how many pieces of fruit are in the bowl. What information do you need to solve the problem? I need to know the number of apples and the number of oranges. I love the second question. What do you wonder? Because I think that old problem solving, daily problem solving that I was doing, I totally didn't put that in there. What do you wonder? And then I'm right here on this card that I'm saying, pass out the Rec and Recs to the kids, and then have students create a model of the problem using the Rec and Rec 20B to help solve the problem. And then it gives some solutions that you could be seeing with your classroom, and then how to discuss those strategies. This is ideal for that teacher that is maybe new to a grade level, new to teaching, that it really walks through how to do that. And then I love this section right here at the bottom, the lookout, because now you're telling me, Hand to Mine is saying, okay, if a student is struggling with a starting point, this is what you need to do. And for students struggling to represent the problem, like maybe they don't even know that, how do I model the number of apples and the number of oranges? Here's what you need to do as well. So easy. And really helps kids dig in and dive into that math and the math thinking, engaging the students in the math, reducing the literacy demand, and providing opportunities for students to notice and wonder. And day 2, same thing. Remember, we talked about that this was this whole and unknown problem, and you see this multi-solution problem right here. That is something, remember I said that that's something that we provide for you, that it is something that you can add right there on your whiteboard or your technology on your screen, and then kids can have that right there for them. And then you can talk about who or what is a problem about, what are you looking for, what information you need, again, using the Rec and Recs. Here's the solving, some different solutions that you might have, and then there's the lookout too. And really true problem solving here, critical thinking skills, and able to get students to make sense of the problem. Do you see how this is so important and how it ties into the routines? That always I'm going to know that on Wednesday, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do whole and unknown problems where I don't have this. This is a numberless problem. And same kind of thing, solving and sharing my lookouts too. And then going on to that whole and unknown problem where that's a single solution problem. And then on day 5, where I am looking at creating a problem too, and using that Rec and Rec to do where I am connecting math concepts to students' own lived experiences. Great routines to have. Here is this student lesson Blackline Master that we offer as well. And what I love about this is that this is where you're going to see some growth. This is where you're going to see students progress. So you might start this off at the very beginning of doing it. It's going to take a little bit more time to get into that absolute routine with kids. And then take a look at how much growth do you see from that first week of doing this to the 6th week or the 9th week of doing this. Fantastic. So just a reminder, daily problem solving cards, 5 different problems, all surrounding the same math skill. I thought there was another one, but there wasn't, sorry. And absolutely great for routines. So let's go into another math. Sorry, I clicked before I got away from me on that one. So this is brand new, and fantastic and precious and darling. And I, again, wish I had it when I was in the classroom as well, or when I was helping teachers in their math learning. But what I love about this is number blocks, brand new for hand to mind. It engages early and builds confidence. This is so perfect for our early learning, our pre-K 3-year-olds, our pre-K 4-year-olds that are needing some math concepts. So hand to mind partnered with number blocks to create a program that emphasizes learning to love math at a very young age with a commitment to spark a curiosity of numbers in all children. And it exposes children to key mathematical concepts early on, enabling them to be more confident in their skills and develop lifelong solid foundation for the principles of math. So who was that? Joe Elliott. He was the one that created number blocks. It is, if you didn't know, it is an award-winning math series, 2.1 billion annual views on YouTube. If you have not heard of it, you're going to Google that later, not while I'm talking. You're going to Google that later, and you are going to be sucked in like me. I was sucked in, and when I looked up, I had watched 3 big episodes and loved every bit of it. It is all about learning design, taking really complex principles and carefully breaking them down into simple steps that are easy and accessible to kids. And every step of the number blocks journey aims to build a solid math foundation. Like I said, spark that child's curiosity about the power of numbers. I'm going to show you just a really quick, I know we're coming down to the end of our time, but I want to show you just a really quick bit about number blocks.
There's a monster
in its tummy.
Oh dear, sounds as if we need a plan. And I think like 5. Ah! Me mean 5 is greater than 3. Me like 5. Ah! 3 is less. 5 is greater. Ah! 3 but 5. 1. Ah!
We're both the same.
4 equals 4.
Not only is it precious, but who doesn't love a British accent on a little baby child? That is precious, and I want to listen to it all the time. I think that's why I got sucked into them. So it revolves around 7 number routines, and you probably have some of this already in your curriculum anyway. Maybe today's number, maybe choral counting. Someone said that in our routines, maybe more than less, maybe what's missing, maybe ways to make a number, maybe guess my number. But all of these routines are put into the number blocks series. Really quickly, it's just a 1-pager, and I'm going to pop through these really quick. Tells you the objective, the routine of the 7 routines. It even has the little video link, QR code there too. What materials, as always, and it is the introducing that routine, the activity, the wrap up, and that's so easy to do. That's routine that students are doing every single day with one of those number routines. So in this number blocks, you all, it's fantastic. Teacher guide, over 1,700 math link cubes, teacher demonstration cards, e-reader, digital resources, reusable, storage tote. What else do you want? You want a card? We'll give you a card. No, I'm just kidding. I promise you, I'm just kidding. Fantastic. Another great way to build a routine in our early learning classrooms. So I've talked to you about the phonemic awareness and phonologic, or the phonics toolkit. I've talked to you about the daily problem solving and the number blocks, all 3 great tools to build more routines in the literacy and the math classroom. Don't forget our benefits to building routines, knowing what's happening now and what comes next. Every one of those products shows that, knowing how to do an activity or a task, engaging students in learning. And I have to end my time with you with a quote from Richard Allington in the article that, don't worry, we're putting that in your Google folder that Melissa will be getting to you. It's time for the elements of effective instruction to be offered consistently to every child, consistently in every school, every day. Remember, adults have the power to make these decisions. Kids don't. It's on us to do this. So let's decide to give them the kind of instruction that they need. If you have any questions, put those right in the chat box and we will be glad to answer. I have loved being with you today. This has been a wonderful day of learning on my end as well. And I'm so excited that we have been able to provide you as early learning leaders, something I'm so passionate with the tools and with the knowledge you need to go help and support your educators.
Thank you, Jennifer. What a fun afternoon.
Welcome.
Yes, that was so much fun. So incredibly fun. So thank you to Tasha and Kevin and Jennifer for taking the time to spend this afternoon with us. If you'll hang on for just a few more minutes, I just want to share a few more things with you. Jennifer, can you see my screen? Did I switch it over?
I can. I can't see. You got your questions?
First of all, in the chat is a Google folder link. I will also be emailing this to all of you. There is a folder for each of the sessions, and in each of those folders, there's the PowerPoint they used, any of the handouts that they mentioned, and then I also put in some of the resources that they've mentioned, information in those specific folders as well. So you should have access to that. It is in there. I'll put it in the link in the chat again before we leave. And if you loved this session and would like to know a little bit more, on Tuesday, Jennifer is going to go really in depth for 30 minutes with a Learn and Go all about that new phonemic awareness and phonics toolkit that you can register using that QR code there. And also on Tuesday, it just happens that they happened at the same time, but Zach Champagne who wrote the lessons that go with number blocks will be doing a webinar at the end of the school day on the power of routines in math class.
And
So
you have to go see that. I wrote so
fabulous.
many notes in just his short time that he trained up. Is fantastic. You all go to that.
Fabulous. Yes. And so when we send you a follow-up, we will also include these links. So we would love for you to join us for those as well. So just to wrap up, I just want to go over a few things. I'm sure, as you can see, especially with Jennifer's session, Hand to Mind has resources that are created for you with the teacher, with your teachers, or those that you serve in mind. Hands-on, so they're multisensory, they're flexible, you can plug them in anywhere, and they are easy to use. The other thing that's really important to us as Hand to Mind consultants is that implementation piece, because I know I was a teacher, and when someone would hand me something, it may be the best thing ever. But if I don't have time to sit down and know what's in it, I don't know that it's the best thing ever. So your sales representative is more than happy to help support you through that implementation process to make sure teachers know what they have and how to use it. So just to